This is an election night update from WCIA 3 News, your local election headquarters.
All right, everyone. We are getting started. It is 10:40 and our digital coverage continues. I've got Jennifer Roscoe here with me tonight. Welcome to our digital live stream.
I am so digging this in here. I just changed out of my heels. We're not going to be back on. I think they said 11:24 is going to be our next hit on WCIA. So I took the opportunity to, put on my gym shoes.
I've got them too.
Get out of my heels and come stand next to you.
All right, so we are here in our sneakers. We are energized, clearly, ready to go running.
I feel like a new woman.
And we are bringing in Mark Maxwell now, who hopefully has been drinking as much coffee as I have. I know Jennifer doesn't drink coffee, but we are fired up and ready to keep talking about what's going on. So, Mark, how is everything going in Taylorville?
Jen and Jennifer, this is our digital live stream, so I think I'm clear to say I have not yet begun to drink coffee. We're going to be in for a long night tonight. We're watching this campaign, and it's a little interesting. The Republican Congressional Committee Chair, Tom Emmer, the congressman from Minnesota, who visited with Congressman Rodney Davis earlier in this district and was backing him, trying to help him win re-election, has already issued a statement declaring Davis a winner, but the incumbent himself knows all too well that a race in this district can be called the wrong way. It was in 2018. So the last report about a few moments ago, both Davis and Londrigan had not yet spoken with one another. That's what we're hearing. We're actually getting a text message just now from the Davis campaign. We will hear from Congressman Davis at 11 o'clock. That's in 20 minutes here. So it remains to be seen. I believe the Associated Press also projecting this race, even against the warning of the Champaign County Clerk, who says media should refrain from calling this race because their early votes, their mail-in ballots, which are known and projected to skew Democratic, have not yet been counted. So that margin could still tighten. The question is by how much? Congressman Davis holding a pretty significant lead at this point in this race. So we're going to hear from Congressman Davis at 11 o'clock. Perhaps we can join you on this digital stream or on television to bring you his remarks. Still waiting to hear word from the Londrigan campaign, rather. Right now, I think they're watching this closely to see where the numbers stand and how the voters have spoken in this race that was once a very close one. We still have yet to see how close it may be in 2020.
And Mark, I have to say, we're waiting for Champaign County numbers. Is that their focus right now, is waiting to see how those are going to shape up?
Well, certainly, and not only because it's the most populated part of the district, one of the most populated parts for sure, but because it's the Democratic stronghold. That's where Democrats turn out votes in their biggest numbers in the 13th district. So the Londrigan campaign is holding out hope against all hope that perhaps they can pull something off here. But again, trailing 35,000 plus votes this late in the evening is not a good or comfortable feeling for this second-time challenger. So they're sweating it out at the Londrigan campaign. We still have yet to hear from her. She was planning to speak as early as 7:30 in the evening, and we have yet to hear from her in any official capacity. But again, Champaign County is where everyone's watching to see what's the holdup and when will we see a more full reporting of those ballots there.
In the past, Champaign County, those numbers from campus, those have been what has driven Betsy Londrigan to such a close race. In 2018, she lost by just 2,078 votes or something like that. But we're in the middle of a pandemic. There are not as many students on campus this year.
Yes and no, but we also saw even yesterday and again today long lines of voters on campus that were waiting, trying to cast their ballots there. That was something the Londrigan campaign pointed to say, look, there's enthusiasm, there's energy. The young voter turnout could be something that would give them a lift. But again, at this late hour, it's hard to get a read on that until we see those numbers from the Champaign County Clerk.
All right. Well, Mark, we know that 15 minutes from now, you said we are going to be hearing from the Davis campaign, and we are planning to keep this live stream going so that we can continue to bring the latest updates. And Mark, when that campaign starts to come back out for an announcement, let us know, wave at us, text us, because we want to come right back out to you for that at that time. But any last thoughts before we let you go and, you know, get ready to gear up for 11 o'clock?
Rodney Davis in the next 15 or 20 minutes or so, and we will have more updates on where this race stands exactly.
Maxwell and Taylorville, thank you so much. And Jennifer, you know, one of the things that we were talking about before we started this latest digital coverage is you have been reporting in Central Illinois for about 28 years now. You have covered countless races on national scales, on countywide issues, and
the thing is, it's not unusual. I know people really right now, and I get it, are really jumping on Champaign County and jumping on the county clerk for not getting those numbers. This is not the first time that we have been waiting for Champaign County numbers. I remember one year I was actually on television and I said, Champaign County, come on, we need those numbers. We have been here until midnight waiting for them in the past. So this is nothing new.
Right.
This is nothing new, that we have been into the night waiting for votes before.
You know, and I think that's such an interesting point you make, because we talk about how this is an unprecedented year. I think we've used that phrase a lot. But in some ways, for as much as this feels unfamiliar, you know, the distancing between us, this new set, some things remain the same.
And it is true. I mean, it's unprecedented in some ways. But I think people forget that we have gone to bed waiting or thinking somebody won the president's race and waking up the next morning and it's somebody different who's now in the lead. So it's incredibly hard for us as journalists, and I know for people who have voted and people who are very passionate about politics, and they want to know tonight. It's election day. I want to know who's going to win. That's not going to happen. And we knew it wasn't going to happen. I know CBS News, I think, was reporting it's going to come down to Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania. Well, in Philadelphia, they said, we're not going to count any more votes tonight. We're going to bed. So we definitely will be waiting until tomorrow, and it could be another week before we know.
And you've been talking with some of our experts here in Central Illinois throughout the night with our state senators.
We had Senator Andy Manar here and Senator Chapin Rose.
What were some of the highlights of that conversation with them? What were your big takeaways?
Well, I mean, honestly, one of the things that I enjoyed was watching them as Justin Paul gave the results for different state senator races and different representatives. These are their colleagues, so they know these people very well and definitely know a lot more about the races. And so just when results would go up and they would kind of look at each other, they'd look at the board and look at each other and they'd give each other a look. And this is what I really enjoyed about them. We had a Democrat and a Republican in the House, and there wasn't that animosity. They were able to. These men are friendly with each other. They've worked with each other for a long time.
Which I love hearing.
Yes, and so there was a camaraderie there, even though they are on two different sides of the aisle. They both come on definitely two different sides of, say, the flat tax amendment. But there was still so. I mean, that's just a little inside of what was happening in the studio that you weren't seeing on TV.
Which I think is really important for people to understand, because, you know, one of the things we've talked about a lot in the lead up to this is how tense things can be. But I like the moments like those where we've got two people on opposite sides coming together. I really loved hearing from Demi Ramirez about the 102-year-old voter. As you pointed out, you know, she was born before the 19th Amendment. And
exactly. She was born before women had the right to vote. And today we are celebrating that it is 100 years since women have gotten that right. And I love that so many of them were out there voting today. And so that's what we're going to be seeing. I mean, just millions and millions of people voted in this election. And so what you hope is that that type of enthusiasm for the process continues past 2020.
Absolutely. And, you know, speaking of the process, we have Lindsay Jones, one of our reporters, who has been following the inner details and the inner workings of this process. And one of the things that I think, you know, you've heard a lot of questions about from some of our viewers and you've been talking about on air, and Lindsay has been following as well, as, you know, the differences with counting vote by mail versus counting ballots in person. And especially as we are waiting for Champaign County's numbers, I think now is a really great time for us to check in with Lindsay. And, Lindsay, walk us through, kind of give us a word of caution for everyone who's so eager to get an answer.
Sure. Again, I think you kind of touched on it earlier, but about 45 minutes ago, the Champaign County clerk reiterated that local media should be cautious, even refrain from calling races due to early vote and vote by mail tallies not being uploaded in their voting summaries. 45 minutes ago, he said that early vote tally would be part of the next summary. Part of the reason why that's being reiterated by him, there is a point to that. Across the state, we've got 108 election authorities. Now, those are county clerks, which we're familiar with across our area. There's about 101 of them. There's one county election commission, and there's 6 municipal election commissions. And each of those entities can do things differently. They can do things in their own specific way. So, for instance, some might tally their precinct, their in-person votes on election day first, and then they'll get to their early vote, and then they'll get to their vote by mail ballots after that. Macoupin County is one in our area that does things a little differently. They'll count their precinct ballots first, and then they'll count their early vote and vote by mail ballots at the same time. Macon County, Champaign County, typically, as well as Montgomery, Sangamon, and McLean, typically count early vote by mail ballots first, and then their precinct ballots. I know that Champaign switched up what they were doing earlier today. Our reporter Courtney Bunting reported that. Again, we're not sure why they pivoted to that, but there's just a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of individual characteristics that go into tallying these votes up in county by county. So what we see tonight might look different tomorrow, just based on how these totals are collected and how they're eventually reported. So until you have specific confirmation about what has and hasn't been counted, it's kind of good to keep in mind that you can't know for sure where a race stands. So when he says that, he does have a point. So just wanted to reiterate that it's not as straightforward as it might seem. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes.
So much, Lindsay, for giving us that update and that word of caution for people. We have a lot going on behind the scenes here as well. We have Jessica and Paul coming back into the studio. You just heard from Jennifer Roscoe as well. Now, Mark was talking with us out in Taylorville. He says that Congressman Rodney Davis is getting prepared to start speaking again around 11:05. So we are preparing to wait for his updates, and we are continuing to wait for everything in Champaign County. We will get reports from Courtney Bunting as well, but for now we are going to be wrapping this live stream up for the moment as we prepare to return to air again. So stay with us, stretch for a moment if you need to, but we are looking forward to bringing you the latest updates from your local election headquarters throughout the night and early into the morning, as it is now 10:53. And for now, I'm going to sign off, and we will see you soon.
The election results continue here on WCIA 3 News, your local election headquarters.